So this is pretty exciting because this is the Tonya and Tonya show.
Yes.
And I just call it raw, uncut, and unfiltered. So we have no idea where we're going. We've never met before. We've never even spoken. We've had a couple, I think we just have watched each other comment and do things in a couple different Facebook groups.
Yes.
And that was enough for me because I can feel your awesomeness and power. I've seen you do some amazing prayers and meditations sitting out in what looks like the jungle of,
Oh, yes.
right? I mean, you're in Puerto Vallarta?
Yes. Yes. I've been living here now almost 2.5 years, but 5 years total in Mexico.
Wow. And how did
Mhm.
that happen?
So this is an interesting story. So I was invited down with a Course in Miracles community. I am a student and a teacher of A Course in Miracles as my spiritual practice.
Mhm.
And so I had been attending a virtual conference, and I met one of the founder of a community down here in Mexico, and he invited me down. And I fell in love with it. I moved to Ajajic, which is a small little village outside of Guadalajara, and it's got the highest number of expats in Mexico, except for here now in Puerto Vallarta. So I just fell in love with it. It was a beautiful it's a freshwater lake surrounded by mountains, and I'd never had that water and mountain energy before. And I just loved the little town. It was cobblestone roads, beautiful rains, and just beautiful people and the energy. And so I ended up just staying in the community for a little less than a month and said, I need to find a place. I found an apartment, and then I met some friends, started hanging out, and I just fell in love with it. And my daughter, even, she would come and visit me, and she's like, this place is amazing. And so she
Oh,
actually moved down with me as well. So she's been here, I want to say, about 3 years as well.
wow. Where did you move
Mhm.
from?
I'm originally from Chicago, but I had been traveling around Europe for a few years.
Mhm.
Had I was voted #3 psychic in the world in 2012. And so from there, I knew I just wanted to, my daughter was safely away at college. And so for the first time in my life, I was able to just travel around. I was 40. I had my fame. I had my tarot deck. And I just said, I'm going to wing it and just try it. So I lived in Madrid, Spain for a while, also Marbella,
Love,
Spain.
love.
Yes, and then Switzerland for a little bit, and I just gave myself the chance, and then I would have to obviously come back. So I lived in Miami, I tried San Diego, and so I was really kind of homeless for a few years, but I enjoyed my adventures. But originally from Chicago, and
Wow.
I said, I need to find a place. I was done with my 2 suitcases. I had been traveling around the world with my 2 suitcases and pillow. That's what I called it. My 2 suitcases, my pillow, and my blanket. And I said, where can I settle? And I'd never thought of Mexico, but when I came, I fell in love. And then I literally fell in love because I met who was one of my close friends, turned into my now husband.
Wow. So is Gonzalez his name or your name?
His name. My maiden name is Hamilton, and my first husband's last name is Melendez. So most people know me. My TV name is Tonya Melendez.
Ah, okay. So
Mhm.
so the fame part of, well,
Yes,
you're
it's
still
Tonya
famous. You're
Melendez.
still famous.
Yes, yes, is Melendez. Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you're fluent in Spanish as well.
I'm getting there. I'm getting
Okay.
there,
Okay.
because they do have their different like slang, and
Oh, I
so
know.
it's kind of, I'm still with the Duolingo learning the proper Spanish, but
Right.
when they talk to each other, it's completely different. But yes,
But and also
I'm
you
getting
lived in Spain, so
yes,
that's a
yes,
different as well because I
absolutely.
speak Spanish, but my son was born in Puerto Rico, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole different thing. That's not where I learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. My ex-husband is Puerto Rican. So yeah, and
Ah,
the way Mexicans speak is completely different than Cubans and Puerto Ricans and all the
totally.
different Spanish speakers. So yeah, so yes. But
And
I'm
my
very
teachers
well
came,
versed.
my teachers came from Central America, which I call that like newscaster Spanish. You know, it's
Yes,
the least accented,
yes,
maybe the easiest to understand.
for sure, for sure.
Wow, beautiful. So, do you just make your living with your cards and doing readings? So, does that really mean you've been able to take the work with you every time you've moved?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been in business now for since 2009. I had some odd jobs as a waitress, bartender, thing like that when I was living in Europe, but I've done this full time for since then, since 2009, because before then I was a school librarian. So I had went to school at the age of 27 or 26 actually to become a school librarian. And I just said, when my daughter got to high school and I realized that she only had 4 years to go before I could change everything, I said, do I really want to be a librarian forever? You know?
Wow.
And so I started doing yoga, and then I started going to a spiritual center, also known like it's a church. And so that really opened it up for me. And I just took the leap and quit my job as a librarian in 2004. And so I just said, this is my gift. I've got to make this work. And so whatever I had to do, actually, when I was living for a brief time in Key West before I went to Kiev, let me tell you this story. So I'd come back from Madrid. It was dead winter in Chicago, so it was January, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is horrible.
Not going to Chicago.
I don't want to be in Chicago." And so a friend had invited me down to Key West, and I said, "Okay, I'll do it." At that time, I had a radio show, I had clients, and so I was like, I could get a waitressing job, because for me, waitressing wasn't like a crappy job. It was an easy job, fast money. I knew I was really great at it because I had been doing it since I was 19. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just get a job waitressing. Well, when I got to Key West, it was the high season and I had no idea what that meant. So it was January. There
Yeah.
was no waitressing jobs. I went to Blue Heaven because I was like, I'm going to go to the best restaurant. I've got the best credentials. I'm going to get a waitressing job. And they're like, we have nothing available except for a busboy. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. I remember the owner interviewed me twice. He's like, you want to be the busboy? You're 40 years old. You have a master's degree. I brought them a resume, and he was like, you want to be the busboy? And I was like, look, I'm a spiritual teacher. I've got more to do. I'm doing this and this. Let me be the busboy. I need to find a place to live. And he's like, okay. So I became the best busboy woman they ever had. It was me
Beautiful.
and this other woman from Trinidad, and we were the busboys. And then they asked me to then fill in for hostessing. And then I went to another restaurant and started serving there and became the best server they had over there. And I'm sharing all of this because I had my clients, I had my radio show. I was working these three jobs when I got the email, and this was in July, actually this month, I remember. It was July of 2011, and I got this email to participate in the International Psychic Challenge in Kiev, Ukraine. And I thought it was a joke. So I kept deleting it. And then I showed it to one of my coworkers at the restaurant. And she's like, oh my God, Tonya. She's like, this is the most popular show in Ukraine. And I was like, where the hell is Ukraine?
Oh my God.
So I was like, where is
Love it.
Ukraine? And so I said, okay, if you guys are serious, call me right now and I'll come. Because at that point I was like, waitressing TV show. And then I remember people were like, are you kidding me? They're going to steal you. Didn't you see Taken? Taken had just come out, the movie with
Oh,
the
yes.
girls who
Yes.
got stolen into the black
Yes.
market. And so people were like, are you crazy? And so I was like, I'm in. And so I went, and Tonya, let me tell you, I had, I had no expectations. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I knew that I was being spiritually guided. So after, I think it was 4 airplanes, 24 hours, I get off. They're waiting for me with a whole TV crew. And I was like, okay. And then they take me to the hotel. So the next day for the tryouts, there has to be at least 5,000 people from all over the world. There was people from Australia and Scotland and England and India and Africa. I mean, I was like, I couldn't find anything. I guess, of course, I was trying to Google it, but because it was in Ukrainian, I wasn't finding anything. And so I came wearing shorts and a cute top, what I thought, and I see all these people dressed up. Some people were dressed up as Vikings. Some people had snakes and birds, and there was little people. There was, wizards. There was priestesses. Wow. I was like,
that's so fabulous.
It was. And so I made it through the first round of tryouts, and then it was, I think, down to about 1,000 people. And then it went down to about 500, and then it went down to 200, and then it was down to like 50. And then we had our top 20, and then we had our top 12, and then the voting started when we got to 10. And then we got down.
How were you feeling as you went through all this? I mean, are you just feeling like, I can't believe I'm still here? Or did you know?
Yeah, no, there was actually a couple of times I wanted to quit. I was just like, I got to get out of here. When it started snowing, I had come from Key West to Kiev. Kiev was exactly on the same latitude as Chicago. So when the snow came, I remember it was October, and I was like, I'm done. I was like, you guys are crazy. I got to get out of here. And they're like, maybe you just need to go home. So they sent us home for a little 2-week break. I remember very clearly. And I came back, and they're like, do you want to be a star? And I was like, I mean, it hadn't even occurred to me that
I don't know.
This was truly a contest that I could win, or something, that, I mean, to me, it didn't feel like a competition, because I had become friends with everyone, and I was like, but when it got to the last like 6, it got so cutthroat. I was like blown away. But yeah, it changed everything for me. It let me see not only how gifted I truly was, but it showed me so much. I mean, behind the scenes on TV, I learned Ukrainian culture as well as some Russian. And, it broadened my perspective in such an amazing way and totally changed my life. So when I came back in January of 2012, I came back crowned as number 3 psychic in the world.
Wow. That's amazing. And so what's the time period from that first email to?
So that was July of 2011. And so I went for the first week. They gave me 10 days to get myself together and go back. And so I was there then from end of July. I remember it was the day after my birthday, I went back. And so I was there then till early October, I believe, got a week break to get winter clothes and everything, because people had been already eliminated by then. So then I was there until December, for the end of December. And then I went back in January for another 12 days. So a total, I was there about a good
7 months.
7 months. Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah,
awesome.
It is
crazy awesome.
Yeah.
But isn't that how the best stuff happens?
Because I couldn't have planned that. I mean, here I was 40 years old, here I was, waitressing. And I remember every morning I would be on my bike on my way to the breakfast shift at the Southernmost Beach Cafe, where I got my waitressing job. And I would just look out at the ocean and the horizon and say, I know you have something else in store for me, but I'm just going to do the best job I can with this job as a waitress, and show me the way. Just show me the way, because I know I've got more to do.
You never know who that person is next to you or with you, or how did the email come? Did you ever find out or trace it back?
They had discovered me. I had started doing YouTube videos, and actually my first one is still there.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I started doing YouTube videos in 2008, and at that time there was nobody else doing it. So I was doing a weekly tarot reading every week even the whole time I was in Kiev. I still did this weekly tarot reading. And then I had 2 radio shows at that time. So They found me from my YouTube. They were looking for a Black woman to, add some color to the show. And, it was on Sunday nights, every Sunday night from 8 to 10, prime time, had over 33 million viewers. So when I would walk down the street, people would come to my hotel.
You were famous.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And the airport, everything.
Wow. Also, I can tell you there aren't a lot of Black people in Kiev, period.
Yes. No,
Like,
I know.
yeah.
You have no idea. Every
Oh,
time I
no,
saw
I do.
some
I lived
person-
in Moscow. I lived in
Oh,
Moscow
did
for
you?
2 years,
Yeah.
and my ex had a house in Kiev
Okay.
for a while.
So, to Russia también. So
Da,
I mix my Spanish with
da,
my Russian.
немного.
Yeah. Awesome.
Немножко.
Awesome. Minushka. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
That is really wild. Gosh, I
Yeah.
love that.
And then
So,
after
so what happened
I,
after? What?
I moved to Miami because there were so many Russians and Ukrainians there, and they were all dying to see me. And so I set up camp there and had a huge following. Also, I worked in a spiritual store there, Five Sisters, and did tarot readings there for a while. And as I said, I just was looking for my way. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I didn't want to go back to Chicago. I knew I also didn't want to set up camp somewhere permanently. I just didn't know where my place was. And so, yeah, it was literally about 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
From 2012 until, yeah, so from all the time in Spain and that till 2015 when I came down here, because I also lived in Marbella, Spain for about 9 months as well.
Nice place too. Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, well, first of all, I have to know, do you have a favorite deck? Do you read lots of decks?
Oh my
Do you have
God.
like the deck that comes with you? I mean,
the deck that comes with me that I did all my readings with is the Hanson Roberts. And that was before there were multicultural decks. I mean, in the last 3 years, there's just been a surge of multicultural decks. And so the favorite decks that I have, and I tell people this all the time, the Hanson Roberts deck, the one I traveled the world with, that's the one I use for everybody. But the other ones are the ones I use only for myself.
Okay, so that was my next question is, do you read for yourself? And
every day.
Oh, you do. So, but this was obviously a surprise. I mean, did you feel it coming? Did you know something was coming?
I knew something was coming. I had been, how I started, really, I had went to Kripalu for yoga school, and my dream was that I was going to be a spiritual counselor and a major Black yoga teacher in Chicago. And so I was doing tarot readings at a coffee shop on Thursday nights from 6 to 8. And I was like, oh, this is just enough to support me. And so more and more people started coming, and I got written up in the local paper, and then Craigslist had just come out. So people started booking me for parties. I even did a Harry Potter. The first Harry Potter came out. I did the Harry Potter festival. I was the high priestess, so I did all kinds of things with the tarot. And then a good friend of mine, Corinne Kenner, she gave me the idea, and she was like, what do you think about tarot life coach? This is what you do, blending both. And I was like, that's it. So I remember I got that WordPress, I got the Gmail, and Tarot Life Coach was born. And so that started then in 2009. And like I said, I did my first YouTube video. I did all of these things and just kept it moving.
But that was about coaching using tarot, not coaching for tarot readers.
Yeah, it was because I also went to school I'm a licensed spiritual counselor. So what I was doing, it was interesting. I would have tarot readings in the kitchen and spiritual counseling in the living room. And so, I was really trying to bridge them together. And so, because some people really needed support as a spiritual counseling that I do. And some people want that psychic, intuitive tarot coaching. And so even now, I do have both, because some people want the support and some people are like, no, I'm not into it. And so I still do both the intuitive with the tarot, and then the spiritual counseling kind of separately.
Interesting. So you haven't, you don't have a preference for always including
No,
the tarot.
no, because I, as a psychic and as a medium, I support people in that way. I can let them know, you know, what I'm sensing their spirit is asking them, and that has nothing to do with the tarot. The tarot was really my hobby since I was like 11 years old. The tarot was really my jam, you know, and because, you know, tarot was always seen as this kind of dark magic. And I remember I've been called the devil, a charlatan. I mean, I've been called so many things over the years because I love tarot and that I'm a psychic and things like that. So it was really, you know, I have to say I was one of the pioneers in really bringing tarot into the spiritual, into the light, because for the longest time, yeah, it was considered dark.
It looked too dark and magical. That's
Hmm.
interesting. Because I was
Hmm.
going to ask you how you see them as different, but I think you were just explaining that a little bit. Oh, I guess I have to get rid of that person. That no dings, no dings coming into my. um, yeah. So how do you see them as different? Like, when are you choosing to read tarot, or when are you choosing to just go with your intuitive guidance on a thing?
The tarot really are to support the person that I'm speaking to. And so it depends, because sometimes people get really freaked out by the depth of information that I know about them as a psychic. And so the tarot kind of, oh, oh, here's the visual. So it kind of gives them this kind of more of a comfort. And it's, you know, we're visual creatures, and tarot are symbols and signs. And so it's our primary language. And so it really brings in that energy of, I understand myself better, because the tarot is a tool that was created by the ancient Egyptians, the Kemets, and as an initiation tool. And so the major arcana, which are the first 22 cards, those are those major checkpoints in our life. So, like the Fool, that leap of faith, like me going to Kiev, not knowing anything, anyone, taking this huge leap of faith. And then the number one card, the Magician, knowing I have all the tools. Absolutely, something guided me. Then the number two, the High Priestess, totally using my intuition. I knew that I was being guided. I knew that I was being provided. And so I was never afraid, even though other people were terrified. Or what is she doing? Who does she think she is? You know, but I knew I was safe. I knew I was being guided. And then number three is the Empress, that it's like the Mother Earth, the Gaia, that you know that you're being supported and sustained. You're full of ideas. You're birthing new experiences. And so the tarot really do, I mean, they're archetypes. In fact, Carl Jung loved the tarot and actually created his personalities based off of the tarot.
Whoa.
Absolutely. If you look at the personality
Whoa.
tests, they are all based on the major arcana in the tarot.
Was the tarot created by a woman?
Yes,
I
actually,
knew it.
Ma'at and Thoth.
I knew it.
The ancient Egyptian, Ma'at is the balance. She is the harmony. She actually was the creator of what is now known as the Ten Commandments. There are 42 spiritual laws of Ma'at. And Thoth was the great wizard, now also known as Hermes or Metatron. So they were cohorts, and they are, I want to say, almost like Jesus and Mary. So they created these together in the ancient Egyptian order to support their initiates in the temples, in the pyramids, because of course there were men and women. So she supported the priestesses, and he supported the priests, which is why the numbers are so significant, why there's 22. Some decks it's 0 to 21, and some decks it's 1 to 22, depending on the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And so the numbers, the numerology has a huge significance. And also this is connected to the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah with the tree of life is also very connected to the tarot. And I'll tell you something else, how I know that this was a part of my divine experience in this lifetime is my birthday is 7/22. And 22, as I just mentioned, is a huge number in the Kabbalah as well as in tarot, but also so is seven. Seven, the seven Hermetic laws. Before they were Hermetic, they were Kemetic, and they were those 42 spiritual laws, like I said, that were written by Ma'at. And so, there's 7 days in the week. Seven we know has a very high vibrational spiritual number. And so, the tarot speak to us individually. It wasn't meant for fortune telling. However, there's a little bit more. The ancient Egyptians knew that the papyruses would get stolen, the scrolls would get stolen. So what they decided is to make it into something common that wouldn't be stolen. This is why they taught this to the initiates. These simple figures and the symbols, the numbers, they mean something. And when you bring them together, this is about you connecting to your journey. And so the other part of this too is, if you think of the word gypsy, who they say were the ones who brought it to Europe, gypsy is Egyptian with the E taken off. And so it was the Egyptians that actually brought it to Europe, and then the Europeans got a hold of it and changed it into tarocchi in Italian. And then the New Dawn, Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn and all the people who were interested in the occult got a hold of it and turned it into something else. And then, of course, in the story of the gypsies, that they were bohemians, that they had all these psychic powers, of course, because they were actually Egyptian.
So they were so afraid of them, they turned them into the enemy. Oh my God, just hearing this makes me want to cry.
Yes.
Oh my God. It makes so much sense.
Yes. And I'll tell you a little bit more as a part of my research for my book, which I've been doing now for many years.
I was going to say, I hope you're writing a book about this.
Yes, the Rider-Waite deck was actually illustrated by a woman named Pamela Coleman Smith. Pamela Coleman Smith is a mixed woman, and she was never paid. Who took the credit for it were Rider and Waite, two white men, European white men, but she was the illustrator. And so her mother was Jamaican, her father was British, so she was very light skinned, but she spent most of her time in Jamaica, and she was known as a psychic artist. There's a major book. I was going to get it when I was last time in New York, but it weighed too much for my luggage. And so I said, one of these days I'll get it when I'm ready. And so it's one of the birthday gifts I'm getting for myself but the thing again is, and the reason I've been hesitant to buy the book is because no one wants to give credit, or no one wants to declare that she was a mixed race woman. They just want to say that she was British. But if you look at her pictures, you can tell she has very caramel looking skin. And it has been noted that she spent most of her time in Jamaica because her mother was Jamaican.
Right. Well,
so yeah,
the timing has shifted. The consciousness has shifted. So I think it's now an asset, which, yay.
Yeah, so she was one of the first women, actually. The Rider-Waite is the deck that most people first go to, and she was the illustrator.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, and just that bit about Jung, like,
I mean, there's so much
it never ends, right? It never.
The ancient African spirituality and practices have been stolen and turned into so many different things that people claim, and they have the history of it. But where is all the African history? It's all in British museums. It's buried somewhere.
Burned, destroyed.
Exactly.
Destroyed. Because it was so powerful. That's exactly what people who want power do.
Absolutely.
And
they destroy.
I can't believe, my ex-husband used to say this all the time to me, you don't get taller by stepping on other people, but that's the definition of history.
It
is
is.
stepping on other people, stealing their everything, spirit,
Yes.
soul.
And that's what has happened. Mhm.
Wow. So how have you been able to do this research? I mean, where,
Most of it's divine downloads.
okay.
I mean, really, truly, Ma'at came into my life, I want to say maybe 6 years ago. And every year, actually, during my birthday month, I go over the 42 spiritual laws of Ma'at. And it truly is, thou shalt not, covet their neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not kill animals. That, they took the 10 commandments from the spiritual laws of Ma'at, because the ancient Cometics, this is how they lived their life. They lived their life in these ways that supported life, that supported spiritual growth. Because remember, the ancient Egyptians, we know people still haven't been able to figure out how they built those pyramids, because they were so advanced in everything. So if that were the case, wouldn't they have had to be high vibration spiritual beings?
Um, I have a lot to say about that. I mean, not because actually Sue Morter, who's one of my teachers,
I know Sue.
you know Sue,
I know her
has,
work.
okay, so she does a whole conversation in Sedona every year. So it just happened. Not actually in Sedona this time, but she describes how the Egyptians did it. But if I say this to anyone who is living up in their head, they can't hear it. They don't want to hear it. I mean, I actually was so excited about it. And I told a friend of mine who knows quite a lot about Egypt and Egyptians, and he thought it was insulting.
Yeah.
That I even suggested this, that he thought it was insulting to modern day Egyptians to suggest that there had been a different kind of being on the earth at that time.
Oh yeah. And even, a lot of people get offended about the Egyptians that are there now. The Egyptians that are now come from an Arab, Middle Eastern, um, um, they come from their
like
Arab
migrants.
countries.
So they're
Yes,
like migrants from
yeah,
something else. Yeah.
exactly. Because Egypt was known as the land of the blacks, where the Moors came from. And the Moors were all dark-skinned people. And so the Arabs that came from the Middle East, from Turkey, from all those places, they started the mixing. And so the Egyptians now that people see, they actually don't even think that they're black. They call them Egyptian, and they're mostly seen as Arabs. But the land of the blacks was Egypt.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. So Sue has her own memories of her lifetime or lifetimes in Egypt. And then I just did a reading. It was an Akashic record reading with Fadia. She and I had one of these conversations last night, and she told me about my lifetime in Egypt, which was quite mind-blowing, because I could feel a connection, but I couldn't figure out where exactly it put me.
I can sense that you live near the Nile River. There's a lot of energy with you near the river, with the crocodiles, in the sand reeds. There's a lot of energy around water with you. And I definitely sense crocodiles. So I don't know, not as something that's hurting you, but it's probably one of your spirit animals. But I definitely sense that you were near more closer to Alexandria, what they renamed Alexandria, which
that makes sense. And I named my son Alexander. That's not surprising.
Before the pandemic, I was actually supposed to be co-hosting a retreat in Egypt, doing the connection of tarot in Egypt. But
beautiful.
Then that got canceled. So I know it'll be coming again soon. But yes, I can sense that you have the Nile energy about you.
And Sue wants me to go back there. And also, and Fadia had a picture of herself in one of the tombs with all kinds of orbs around it. I've seen Sue have pictures like that pretty much of most of her followers. Like there's a funny sense that people are gathering again who maybe have known each other from that place or that lifetime.
Absolutely.
And Fadia's reading said I was part of the sort of the inner circle of Nefertiti, and there were some things that happened, I guess, that caused the end of me.
Mhm.
Or as my friend Annette says, that explains all of your jewelry choices.
Mhm.
Which
I sense a strong Viking energy with you as well.
possibly.
Mhm.
Possibly. I certainly have Viking friends, several of them actually.
Yeah, I feel a strong connection there for you as well. That was
Yeah.
probably your most recent past life, was a Viking energy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Could be. It's funny because I do these portraits. I don't know what to call them, and I don't do them very often, but I call them sort of goddess portraits of different people, like my friend Britta, who is a Viking shaman. She's German, but lots of Viking energy. And the picture that we went to do, it I dreamed about it maybe for 2 years before we made it, and then it just happened all in a day, so quickly, so easily. And we go out to do a picture with the waves and the ocean, Viking energy. And the next thing I know, the waves are massive and they are crashing up above her body, and she has a staff, and she just literally looks like she's controlling the whole situation. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. And I
That
thought,
sounds amazing.
if I could just do this for a whole lifetime, this would be incredible. Like, to connect with the spirit energy of a person. And I'm fully aware that every time I do this, I'm doing myself.
Absolutely.
Because people used to say, "Oh, aren't you ever in the picture?" I said, "No, no, no, I'm in every picture." Like, don't worry.
Absolutely.
Every person who
Absolutely.
comes into my life is a reflection of some aspect of me,
For
um,
sure.
which is why I love, and so that's why so many of my pictures end up being water pictures. And um,
When is your birthday?
October 23rd, I am
Okay. Scorpio.
15 minutes into Scorpio.
I'm Cancer Leo cusp. In the day, in the morning, I'm a Cancer, and the night I'm a Leo. So
Oh,
I'm the sun and the moon. I
okay.
mean, and it's so true for me because I love lions. I always call my
Mm,
hair my lion's mane, but I'm also a Cancer with a very intuitive. And they told me that this was on purpose. Um, that this was my birthday was chosen, but again, the high vibration of the day.
oh, wow. Well,
Mhm.
I always say that, because I'm just barely a Scorpio, I say it's that, my mother intended for me to be a Libra. And I said, oh, hell no.
Yeah, yeah,
Hang on, I'm not coming out.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
Actually, I was early. I was early.
oh, you were? Yeah,
Yeah.
that part I didn't ask.
And
Um,
it was a new moon, partial solar eclipse.
wow. Wow. It's
Yeah,
a lot of magic.
it is.
I'm a triple water sign. I'm actually a Scorpio Cancer, but it's Scorpio Pisces Cancer, I think.
Yeah, I could tell the water. That's why I shared about the
Yeah.
Nile. I could
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned Madrid, and I thought, oh, I love Madrid. I could never live there because it has no ocean.
It was the hardest thing. That's why when I went back to Spain, I was like, Marbella.
Marbella, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. I
living in
wanted to.
Moscow nearly killed me. Living in
Uh,
Atlanta nearly killed me. I can't live in places like that. I grew up in San Francisco, which was um, handy, but I think the Atlantic is more my energy.
yeah, no, I tried Atlanta myself for a little bit. I think we were there less than 6 months. I was like, no, I got to get out of here.
Six
I
years.
couldn't. I could.
6 years.
Yeah, the landlock. Because I mean, growing up in Chicago, the water was there at least. I mean, it was a lake, but still, it was a water element.
Yeah. Well, and Chicago also has what New York and LA have, which is a very cosmopolitan
City, yeah,
city with, you have every nationality there. And I I don't think I could live in a place that doesn't have that.
yeah.
Um,
That's one of the only things. I mean, well, here in Puerto Vallarta, there is so many different people. and even in Ahahik, as I said, there was Canadians, Italians, French. There was people from all over the world. So I've always had that element also wherever I decide to live, because I need that. The only thing I'm missing now here in Puerto Vallarta is the cultural, because it's a beach. So everything is about the beach and being outside. But pardon me, last May, we went to Mexico City to go to the pyramids there. And so that was, very, very enlightening and inspiring to be there in Mexico City. But again, now cities are too much for me. I like my quiet, calm, I can hear the birds
Yeah.
experience. Now cities just overwhelm me because I'm so tuned into so many different energies. So yeah.
Well, and it's so beautiful the way you do your whatever it is, sometimes it's a talk or a meditation or whatever outside. You just feel kind of wrapped in
I do. And
luscious.
there's a park. I live in a gated community and we have a park area with a pool and all of that. And so I do a lot of my videos there because that's like where I go and get my Mother Nature energy. I walk in the grass and, sit in the sun and get my vitamin D. And so, yeah, I love to do the videos there and like ground myself in Mother Nature. I'm always most of the time sitting on the ground so I can feel her energy when I'm doing my videos and my prayers and things. That's important to me. Nature is huge for me.
Wow. Well, it's funny. It's huge for me as well. And I feel so lucky to be here in the pandemic, which I don't know if you've ever been to Sag Harbor. It's an old whaling town. So we have a weird kind of history of ghosts and whalers and things like that.
Where is that exactly?
So it's about 3 hours east of New York City.
Okay.
It's the Hamptons, basically.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. I remember seeing signs.
Yeah.
I was in the Hamptons. I did a whole week there. I did a store there and people invited me out to their beautiful private home. I had never seen anything like that in my life.
Oh, I know.
I was in East Hampton and Southampton. I have friends actually in Southampton. Monty Farber and I can see her name. Amy Zerner. They create tarot decks and all kinds of things. They used to have a store. I'm not sure if they still have the store that they had it in Southampton. Yeah, we went all through up Montauk and we did the whole drive. So yeah, I have been there. That's what I thought when you said Sakar. I was like, was that there? Yes, I was. We did a beautiful drive.
Well, and also there are two stores in town that I'm going to say regularly have somebody come and do tarot readings. One is Donna Karen's Urban Zen, and the other is my friend Patricia from Matriarch, which I love because her whole mission is the empowerment of women through a store. So it's not about the store, it's about the gathering and matriarchs and, strong women leading.
Yeah, I had such an amazing time. There was a bookstore that I guess it's a famous bookstore. Actually, in the week that I was there was the week that Hillary Clinton, her book came out and she was there. So I don't remember the name, but I do know
the one in East Hampton, the little bookstore.
Yes. Yeah. The little bookstore there. And then there's a famous restaurant there as well that I forget the name. I mean, it's been years, but I remember going there and I just loved it. I love cute little quaint towns like that. So when I was
then
there,
you're coming
fantastic.
back. Then we'll have to get you here.
I loved it. I loved it there. It was so amazing. The place I was at, the West Elm, I know they've closed since then. That was next to the Soul Cycle.
Oh, yes. Yes, they have closed. It's funny. Actually, that was taken over by my friend Rich owns the health food store here. And he licensed the name. So it's another health food store, which is good. It's a good purpose for that place.
Yeah. It was a beautiful little square area, little shops and things like that. Yeah.
But it's a great place because we do have that cosmopolitan side.
Energy. Yes.
We have every nationality you can think of out here. Plus we have proximity to New York, but again, I can't take that energy either. I used to love New York. when I moved to Moscow, all I wanted to do was move back to New York. When I moved to Puerto Rico, all I wanted to do was move back to New York. When I finally moved back to New York was too much.
Yeah, no, New York is way too much for me. My stepfather lives in Brooklyn. So I would always go once a year to see him. But the last time I was like, oh my God, this is just way too much. And so,
Yeah.
well, now it's been actually, I think I went last year. Yeah, I went early last May to visit him.
But I have to say
So,
that the nature around me has been absolutely my salvation during this pandemic,
yes,
because
I'm sure.
I have two big dogs. We go walk for an hour. I don't see a single soul in the woods, at the beach. The beach, you have to time it right not to see anyone. Um, but it happens, and it's
Yeah.
so magical.
Yeah, for me, nature is number one. That's why I discovered that I was psychic as a child, because I would spend time talking to the animals, talking to the trees and things. And so things started coming to me. I would sit for hours there, and then I'd go to the library and look it all up, because I was one of those
Wow.
type of girls. And that's why becoming a librarian was so easy for me, because I spent hours in the library after I had spent hours in nature. So nature is
Wow.
huge for me. So during the pandemic, not being able to go out, oh my gosh. So my husband is growing us little patches of grass now, so I can walk around in grass because
Wow. So
we didn't have grass.
you weren't allowed to go out in Puerto Vallarta?
Yes, we were not. I mean, we were allowed to go out, but the park was closed, like I said, and all the nature places, all the beaches, everything where I normally get fed, my spirit, it was
Yeah.
all closed down. And I live in a gated community, and so everything else is out, and so everything was closed. So yeah, it
Wow.
was really difficult. It was one of the hardest parts about it. Otherwise, for me, it felt like normal. My husband and I are both always home. I am a Cancer, so
Yeah.
being home is like natural to me, but not being able to go to the beach and get that nature connection was the hardest part.
Wow. Yeah, I can't tell you how lucky I am to be here, because really nothing was different for me
Yeah,
except my experience at the grocery store and in town with a mask now, but and not being able to get on an airplane, because
yeah,
I would fly so much for my work or photographing people, and in California was doing so well,
yeah,
and I was planning a trip out there, and I've just postponed that probably another month because now California is having a hard time.
yeah. I saw that. Hmm.
Um, wow, what an interesting, crazy, awesome life you've had.
And the thing was, the thing was, I was a single mother at 19. And they told me I was a statistic, and I said, "Watch me."
Wow. Lucky you that you were a mom at 19. I mean, I know it's horrible on one aspect, but how awesome to start that young, actually.
Yeah, my daughter is 29. I'll be
That's
49 in a few weeks, and so we're
wow.
so close. We're like sisters, and so
Oh,
it's been
beautiful.
fantastic. It's been an amazing ride. I've
Yeah.
gone through college and grad school and all of this, and now we work together. So it's amazing.
Oh, really? Does she help you
She
with your
supports my
business?
business. Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get my son to help me.
Yeah. No, and she's an actress. And so when the theater closed down and things like that, but she went to school for communications and brand managing. So she's my brand manager and
Beautiful.
strategist, and does all the back things and the interview kind of things. She does all of those amazing things for me.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, my son
Yeah.
does video. So I do photography, he does video, but I could really use some video from him. I mean, that's why I'm doing this way, because I can't get any help from him.
Oh, got it.
So I've said, you know
Got it.
what? I'll just let go of that, and I'll let go of the perfectionist
There it is.
tendencies that I have. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you have a built-in social media. Does she live in Mexico as well, or is she
Yeah,
living in
she lives
LA?
here. She lives here. Yeah,
Fantastic.
she lives here. She was in the Mamma Mia this season here at the biggest theater here. She's actually playing, guess who? Tanya.
Oh my God, that's too much.
So she had wanted to be an actress her whole life. And so in Chicago, when she was working, she never thought that this would be something she could do. But when she moved here, and I said, why aren't you going for it? Go for it. Why not? And she tried out. She did one open mic night and everybody heard her voice and saw her. And then she was in play after play after play. So now she's a rising star here.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone recently about media and PR, and one of the things we talked about was the underrated value of small communities.
Yeah,
Because
it's huge.
It's you can do things that you can't necessarily do in a bigger market.
Yes,
And that experience is priceless.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, everyone thinks you have to go to New York to make it. That is not true. You could go to New York and fizzle and die on a vine.
Exactly. But here, I mean, people are coming here from all over the world.
Yeah.
And so it really opens things up. So yeah, she's had some great opportunities.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have, are you still part of the ACIM, Course in Miracles?
Yes. Okay. I teach classes. I'm a big advocate. Actually, my daughter and my husband are also love A Course in Miracles now too.
Okay.
Yeah. Course in Miracles is my life.
Oh, great. Well, so are you friends with Maureen Muldoon?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes. I know Maureen, and yeah, I have quite a few. Most of my closest friends, I would say, are Course in Miracles.
Course in Miracles people. Yeah, she invited me to a big conference in San Francisco.
Okay.
I went out there because she was coming out, I think, with her first or her second book, and I wanted to do a different photo for her. And we ended up doing photos, and she said, "You know what? That's going to be the cover of my next book."
Oh, the Spiritual Vixen?
The Spiritual Vixen was the one. Yes, that was the first one that came out. And then we did these other photos, and she said, "You know what? That inspires me to do a whole other book."
Oh, nice.
So
good.
It was literally creating the photo. I say I do this all the time, where I create the photo that people step into. It's like
I love it.
It's like a future version of yourself that you
Oh, well, then I have to get a photo.
can walk into. Yeah, well, that's what part of the process is. I mean, that's what I do with Lee Harris, and that just happened by accident. But you know, now I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years, and it's quite funny because I'm in his portal community, and I look at the photos, and I made all of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we have a process, and this is why I love working with intuitive people, because we never know why we're doing a thing. We're just we do it, and we feel it. We feel if it's working, we feel if it's not working. And we just keep going and keep going. And sometimes we abandon a thing. We're like, yeah, no, this is nothing. And other times I'll say, you know, I know this sounds crazy, but.
Oh, that's always it. I know this sounds crazy.
This sounds crazy, but this is the vision that I had. I mean, I said something to him recently about an image in water, of course. And he said, then we'll find a pool. And I said, yes, we will.
That's awesome.
Because, you know, when you do it, I don't know what to call it other than, I guess, in like divinely guided, intuitive guided photography. It's kind of planned and kind of not planned.
Yeah.
And then something happens. And
my husband is an artist. So watching him transform things that I see through my eyes, and I'm like so fascinated. I'm like, how do you do that? Or he'll cover one canvas, he'll paint something and start over, and he'll still have the old background. And I'm like, how are you doing that?
I love
that.
I'm
like, how are you doing that? I need a coloring pencil. I need the lines, but he can see beyond things. And so, yeah, I think it's all fascinating.
Can he describe it to you, or does he just say, I don't know, I just do it?
He just does it. Yeah. But him and I were designing a tarot deck together. So, so we talk it out together. And so, yeah, it's great. I tell him what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling. And then I say, you're the artist, take it, you go and do your thing. So yeah, we love creating art together.
Oh, beautiful. I'm going to show you something kind of cool because I have it right here.
Thank you.
So I have these boxes that I made. Oops. And I use them to hold different people's cards, because I've recently started mixing cards.
Oh, yeah.
which I don't know, sometimes that's fun. So this
Oh,
one,
nice.
so it's made out of walnut, like
Uh-huh.
that.
Wow, it's great.
And then I'll have a deck
Ooh,
inside. It only
that's
works when the
cute.
book fits as
Yeah.
well, because I get a little lost without the book sometimes. Then
Yeah.
do you know Amy Oscar? She's also in the Woo group.
No, I don't.
So whoops,
Ooh,
these are her
yeah.
cards, which I love, in spite of how itty bitty tiny they are. They're
Yeah.
all
Okay.
words. Hold on.
Affirmations. Yeah.
No, not even affirmations, like literally
Just words.
like
Okay.
guidance words. So here, I'll read them because you can't see them. So magic, sacred, medicine, wind, free, blessing, light,
Okay.
tender. So you lay them in a certain grid to read them, but they're so tiny. So I just
Yeah.
shake them
What a great,
around,
those boxes are great.
and I just, these are my photos.
I love those.
I love this one.
Yeah,
And
that's
so it's sort of
amazing.
like, this actually started because my friend Annette wanted this image, which is my friend Maggie, who's a yoga teacher.
Hmm.
She wanted this image. She said, but can you make it small so I could put it on my altar? And I thought, oh my God, how fantastic, right? So your cards belong on your altar, right? But how about
That
if they're
is
in a
so awesome.
beautiful container that's easy to, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Oh,
So
those are amazing.
yeah, well, it started right before the pandemic, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna start my fine art website, and I'm just gonna have one product. It's gonna be this.
Yeah, it's amazing. You
But
could
then
sell them as card boxes.
I had this weird feeling like it wasn't the right time, and I was just about to pull the trigger, and the lab shut down and couldn't make them for me. And I thought, oh, yeah, it's not the right time.
Yeah,
So I
just
don't,
like I knew about going to Egypt, something had told me not to buy the ticket. And I was devastated because I was like, how can I not buy the ticket? I know I'm meant to go there. I'm meant to go. But they just told me, they were like, you're going to go, just not right now.
not right now.
Wait. And I was like, why? And I remember the day that everything started happening. I said, now I understand why you told me not to buy the
Yes, and you couldn't have imagined if someone had told you exactly what was going to happen, you still would have said, what?
ticket.
Like,
No, but I have to tell you, beloved, that
oh, you had
I,
a sense.
I did. My predictions, I do a yearly prediction and they give me my download usually in November. So one of my biggest ones for this year was the end of colonization in 30 years. I put that in there. I talked about humanitarian, no more race. I talked about the money, economics. I talked about the capitalism going down. All of this came to me in
Wow.
November. And so and I've shown people, it's written down from November 14th of 2019 in my handwriting. It's written there in my journal.
Have you made a recording around, or did you make a recording
Yes,
around it as well?
I did. I made a recording and I have since then, and I still actually have it right here.
I would love to link to that recording so that people can just find it from this, or you tell me how to find you, or
Yeah, I have to remember where it is. I think it's on one of my YouTube videos, but I just don't remember which one. But yeah.
oh wow.
Mhm.
Because I definitely can feel this is just the very beginning.
This is the very
The
beginning.
very
Yes.
beginning.
Yeah, this is
Um,
about the economy, the commerce, the whole thing.
yeah. What's your sense about where that's going?
This is about truly, truly, this is about changing the way we do everything. The thing is, we've got to get the right people in place to make sure that it goes in the way that it needs to. A lot of people are talking about the idea of the new order, and the new order is more of a cryptocurrency, which people have been talking about for many years. This is also about, again, how Mother Nature has reset herself and the depopulation of the world. And so there's many, many, many different things going on here, but things will start to become more to light next month. The day out of time, which, or actually, yeah, this month, the day out of time, which is July 26th. Have you heard of that day, or July
No,
25th? In the
no.
Mayan calendar, there is the new year starts on July 26th. The day out of time is July 25th. And what it means out of time is they didn't have a date of time. It went from the old then to the new. And so when that happens on July 25th, there's going to be some more revelations. I've also been talking about how new discoveries, ancient discoveries below and above our ancestors are speaking to us. And this is why more and more of us over the last 5 years have turned more towards spirituality. That's what the 2012 was about, for us to come back into our spiritual selves. Those who are not connected, those are the ones who are now, what do we see? Living in fear. Those are the ones who are breeding the fear. Those are the ones who are, keeping the fear going. And so on the day out of time, in a few weeks, more will be revealed. But this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
That is so this is so interesting. That day, not the 25th, but I think it was the 23rd. That's when I was supposed to be in LA for this shoot with Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this feeling like, no, not in July, like August, middle of August, maybe.
Yeah.
But this, I could just feel like rockiness coming in this
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. Things are definitely shifting.
Wow.
Definitely shifting.
Fabulous.
And a lot of people aren't aware because they've been so disconnected from themselves and caught up in consumerism. And so if you're not paying attention, I've been saying this for years. This is the summer of radical Black love, radicalism. This is the age of Aquarius. This is what they've been telling us and preparing us for years. So we have to get ready for it. They really are trying to push the cryptocurrency as well as the vaccines and the microchipping and all these different things. And so the more spiritually awake we are, the more of us who are spiritually awake, the less of that can happen. This is truly like some of those movies we've seen, turning us into robots.
So do you think that cryptocurrency is a good idea or not? Or is that a dangerous idea the way it is right now?
It's dangerous right now.
Yeah. Because It's so simple to just take away everything you have, right?
Yeah. And that is a part of moving towards the communism, isn't it?
Yeah. I've noticed a lot more people trading things.
Yeah, I talked about the gig bartering. I talked about that in my predictions as well, because I don't know if you've noticed, but in certain stores, you have to start paying attention. They're saying there's no more coins to use your card. They're not taking cash to use your card. Even here, when we went shopping the other day, they're asking people, unless you have exact change, please use your card.
Right. And blaming it on the virus. I was actually, yes. Oh my gosh. In fact, maybe this was silly. I just went to a Coinstar machine at the grocery store, and even plastered on the machine, it says there's a national coin shortage. Like, please bring them to the counter or something.
They're trying to collect them all so they can say that there is no more.
Wow.
The United States is shifting.
Wow. Well, I just surrendered a couple $100 worth of coins.
Yeah. And this, they're trying to collect them all so they can bolster the idea of the shortage.
Wow.
Yeah, there's much more to this.
Wow.
And it's not pretty. It's actually quite sinister.
Are you happy not to be in the US right now?
Absolutely.
I think about living all the time.
Yeah.
The only thing stopping me is my dogs, I think.
Yeah. I think it's dangerous to be in the United States right now. And people don't realize that.
Yeah. And interesting that we are banned from Europe at the moment.
And Mexico as well.
Oh, and Mexico. We can't go to Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, and Canada.
Yeah,
I have friends who can't go to their houses in Canada.
Yeah. This is all on purpose.
Yeah.
This is all on purpose.
I also feel like we deserve it. You know, I feel like America's been doing a lot of bad things to a lot of people for a long time.
Yeah.
But okay, sucks to be here.
This is, you know, this is, like I shared, this is the new world order that they're trying to create. And that's why they have you all there.
Huh.
And spirit guided me here. Like I said, I knew I wasn't meant to live in the United States. I knew my daughter was meant to be here with me as well.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm not taking Portugal off my radar.
No, don't take it off your radar.
It's
No.
still on my radar.
Good.
Wow. Well, this has been fabulous. I can tell I could talk to you for hours and hours. And,
Yeah.
we'll have to do it again. And I hope that I'll get to see you here at one point. And
Yeah, I would love it.
I refuse to be stuck in our borders indefinitely.
I understand. Yeah, there's places I want to go too, you know, of course.
Yeah.
I love to travel. Actually, I really do. So
Love to travel.
I love connecting. I love airports, even meeting I meet the most interesting people. I've met priest friends. And I remember one time I saw Judith Light in New York, and she was just waiting and coached with everybody else. And I was like, oh my God, I remember you from the soap operas.
Isn't that funny? Like in a funny way, I find that people are more open in airports. Yeah, maybe it's just everyone's.
I've met some of the most amazing people in airports.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for.
Thank you, beloved, for having me. It's been an amazing opportunity, and I hope we get to have more of this.
Yes. Well, I will find my way. I've been to Puerto Vallarta a couple of times, and I love it.
Okay.
So
Good.
if I can find a way to get back down there, I will come visit you.
Come on. You're more than welcome, sister.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you.
I'll let you know when it's posted, and I'm going to get some link information from you as well.
Okay, fantastic. Have a beautiful rest of your day, beloved.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.